Alright, what is up guys, Cameratron here, and I'm just making this tutorial to show you guys how to make a YouTube background in Cinema 4D and Photoshop. And I'm just using Cinema 4D because I think the text looks a lot better rather than just making the text in Photoshop. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is go up to MoGraph out here and click Mo Text. And a little text thing's gonna come up. And in the bottom right corner, type in the text you want to do. I'll just type in Cameratron, and it'll take a little bit to load up. And you can use this directional arrow thing. If you click and hold it, you can move your screen around. I'm using the scroll wheel to zoom out, and this turning arrow thingy, if you hold that, you can spin the camera. So the next thing you want to do is change the depth of the text. So I want to get a good view of this so you can see the depth. And this button changes it to a render so you can see how it will look when the picture is saved out and you export it to Photoshop. So yeah. And I'm going to change the depth to 160. And if we look at that, let's look at it from this angle. Usually you'd want to look at it from this angle if you're using it for your background. Just put it right here. Yeah, that looks good. And now the next thing you want to do is change the font. You can easily get font packs on YouTube just by typing in GFX font pack or going on dafont.com because they have tons of fonts. I think I'll just use this. That looks pretty good. Actually, if you click this button, you see these like dark squares on the side? That's what will be clipped out when you render the picture out. So when you render the picture out to a JPEG or a PNG. So if you click this, go to Output, change the width to 1280, change the height to 720, then close this. You notice that the block lines get smaller, so you can see more of the text once you've rendered it out. So I would recommend doing that. And so next thing you want to do, click on Mo Text, Control C, Control V, and you'll have another text layer. And this pretty much duplicates the text. But we want to change the depth of that one to half of the original, so that'd be 80. And you notice that the little highlighted part of this text gets smaller. And what we're going to do is drag that highlighted text right in the middle of the bigger one. So use this blue arrow. If you only click and hold the blue arrow, it will only move the text that direction. But if you just try and move the text, it'll go all everywhere. So you only want to hold the blue arrow. I guess that looks good. Zoom out. And on the layer that has the depth of 80, click on Caps. Start cap, make it a fillet cap, and change the end to a fillet cap also. And now you'll notice that it kind of pops out of the original text. So that looks pretty good. And now we are going to make a material, which is pretty much like colors. So go down into this box where it says materials, double click right here, and a little thing will pop up, double click that. And click on the box that says color, and change it to the color you want your main text to be. I'm just going to change it to a light, actually I want to make it a red. Alright. And now you want to give it kind of a glowing style, so we're going to add a reflection. Click on reflection, make sure it's checked. Turn the brightness down, you can click and hold and drag it, and it'll change the brightness to 30, and you can notice just a tiny bit of reflection. And go on to glow, and uncheck use material color, and drag it to about 40. And you can close that window. And drag that onto the first MoText, not MoText.1, just MoText, and it will color that. And you'll still notice that the MoText.1 layer, the one that's that we dragged in, is still white, so we want to change that. And I would recommend you change that to black. So double click, add a new material, double click that. Change that color to black. Do the same thing you did for the red one, change the brightness to 30. Change the glow, uncheck use material color, change the glow to about 40. And don't close that, and then drag down to MoText. And you'll notice it looks pretty good if you angle it right here. And if you're wondering, the font I'm using is Bank Gothic. You can easily find that by Googling it or searching on DA font. I guess that looks pretty good, but the last thing we want to do is add a light. So you click this one where it says it's like a glowing circle and there's 4 arrows coming out. Click and hold that, click on the light. A little thing will pop up and it's right over here. And click and drag the red arrow, that'll drag it to the right or left. That would center it right in the middle, that would be my A. And then click and hold the blue arrow and you can pull it out. And that looks pretty good. So our light's over here facing the text. now to render that, and that gives it kind of a like a spotlight effect on it. So what we're gonna do is go back to our render settings by clicking this button. Our output settings we can leave since we already changed the height and width to 1280 by 720. Click on save. Click on the 3 dots. And this changes your path where you're gonna save it. I'm just gonna change it here. Let's do Cambitron tutorial background. Save that. Change the format to a PNG. And select alpha channel, and that'll make sure you don't get the background, the black background around this. You'll only get the text when you export it to Photoshop. So yeah, next thing we're gonna do is click the middle button. Once you're all done, you have the center camera. This is what your text is gonna look like once you have imported it into your Photoshop. I think that looks pretty good. And we're just gonna click the middle button, and it will render. Some squares might pop up and they'll like go in a circle. Just wait for that to finish, and once it's done, you are done with Cinema 4D and you can go into Photoshop. And so first thing you want to do is have a YouTube template. I'll leave a link to one in the description where I got it, and I'm pretty sure it's on my desktop. And where is it? Here it is. You want to do the new YouTube template, and this will open up. So the next thing you want to do is go File, Open, and go to the place where you saved your text, where you saved your Cinema 4D text. I saved it in here. Where did I put it? I have a bunch. Background tutorial. Okay, so there it is, and it'll pop up in here. Click on the selection tool. Click on your text and drag it over to the template, and the text will pop up on here. And that will be too large. So actually, the first thing you want to do is Control T to select it. Click on Edit, Transform, Rotate 90 degrees CCW, and it will change so you can line it up here. But now we want to shrink it, so hold Shift, click on the top right or top left corner, and drag in, and it will make it smaller, but it will keep the quality the same. And I'll leave it right there. Alright. And now we're going to drag in some rulers, and what a ruler does is it makes sure that everything is lined up. If you don't have them in like this and your screen looks like this, hit Control R and this will pop up. Click on this side, click on where the ruler is, click and drag, and a line will pop up. I would drag one on each side of the background like this, so they're all lined up, and then drag one right into the middle. It'll kind of snap to the middle. If you put 2 rulers on either side, it'll snap right to the middle. And then the other thing you want to do is on your text layer, hit Control T, and you'll see that these two like little boxes from the selection, you want to drag a ruler right in between there. So when you flip the text and put it on the other side, you want that lined up too. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna flip the text onto the other side. Select the text layer, hit Control J, and you'll notice you have 2 now. Oops, you have 2 now. And hit Control T, Edit, Transform, Rotate 180 degrees. And you'll want to line up the 2 center boxes with the ruler you had dragged in for the other one, and now your 2 texts will be lined up. Apply the transformation. And so now we have our text, and now we want the text to kind of blend in with the background. So click on the backdrop layer, double click that, and click on gradient overlay, and click this where it says gradient, double click that, and you'll have a bunch of presets here. I would just start with a black and white one, and right here it'll pop up. So on the black side you'll just leave that, and on the white side double click the white one, and I'm just gonna change it to kind of, yeah, that looks good. You're just gonna drag it to a different color and click OK, and that should be good. So now our background kind of blends in with the text. And so yeah, next thing we're gonna do is add in some flares. You can download those just by searching optical flares on YouTube for Photoshop, or just flares for Photoshop. I have a bunch. Where's one? Flares download. And which is a good one? This one's good. And so this image will pop up. It's locked, so double click this, click OK, and then you'll be able to drag it around. Click and hold on the image and drag it to your template. And I want the flare, the red line itself, to line up with the text. So I'm going to do Edit, Transform, Rotate 90 degrees. And so now we can line it up with the text. And we don't want this black background, so what we do is select the layer and click on screen. Actually, that doesn't look good. I just want to test this out. And screen overlay. Okay, I would say overlay is better. So click on the layer and click overlay. And now you're gonna take your eraser tool. Make sure you have a size of around 400. Make sure hardness is on 0. You don't want to leave edges. You're just gonna erase the edges of it so you can't really see it. You just want to see the flare in it and maybe a little of the area around it. And you can't really see this that well, but it actually helps a lot. And so now we want to do the same exact thing on the other side. But we can do this pretty easily because we can just select the layer, hit Control J, it'll duplicate it, do Edit, Transform, Rotate 180 degrees. Just drag it onto the other side. You might have to erase some of the surroundings, but yeah. Alright, that looks pretty good. And so we're just going to add in a few more flares because those always help. Let's find another. I think I'll use this one. Okay, actually, I want to add one in kind of the background. So we're going to need one that takes up a lot of space. This one looks pretty good. Even though it's a purple, we can make that blend in by using gradients. So what we're going to do is make sure you put the top left corner into the top left corner of your template, hit Control T, hold Shift and drag to the right to make it fill the whole screen. So now you can kind of these bars or the purple lines. We want to center that up so that it gives the same amount of bars on each side. You can notice that. And I guess that looks pretty good. Change the layer type to screen. Yeah, screen looks pretty good. And do the same thing you do with the flares, just erase the edges like this. So you only get the lines, the purple lines, you can see them. I'm just gonna drag them up. That looks pretty good. So the next thing we're gonna do on that layer is click on Adjustments and click on Hue and Saturation. And this is gonna change the purple color to a red color so it kind of blends in. Click on Colorize and change the hue to about the same color as your background. Oops. That would be around the red. Then change the saturation to make it the same amount of brightness. And I would say that's good. Go layers. And now I'd say this looks like a pretty good background. I would say you're done. And the last thing you're going to want to do, if you want to upload it to YouTube, is click on File, Save. And it's going to the first format it's auto-selected on is going to be a Photoshop.psd file. And you want to save it as that first, so that like if you ever want to edit it again, you can. So I'm just going to save it as that. Canvatron tutorial background. And now we have that, but you can't upload that to YouTube. So what you do is go File, Save As, and change. It'll bring up the same window, but change the format to a JPEG. And you can just leave the file name the same. Click on Save. And the max file size for YouTube is 1 megabyte. So if it's over 1 megabyte, you'll have to drag this down until it is below. But that's only if you add a ton of flares and gradients and stuff. I didn't, so it's around half a megabyte, so we're fine. We can leave it at 12 quality, which is the max. Click OK, and it'll save. So then if you want to upload it to YouTube, just go open your web browser. I have a lot of things open. It's actually a video of mine. So we're going to go our channel. Alright. And you're going to go channel settings. If you already have a background, click on remove. And then click choose file. And navigate to where you saved the JPEG. And where did I save it? That would be right here. Wait, no, that's not it. Name. It's the JPEG. So I have a bunch of them. It should be pretty easy to find you for them because you probably don't have all these. Click open. And your background will pop up. And you don't want to leave it as fixed because then when you scroll, here, I'll show you. Done editing. If you leave it as fixed, when you scroll, this text won't move and that looks kind of bad. So I would recommend that you do scrolling. Done editing. So then you can see the bottom of the text. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you found it helpful, please subscribe or leave a comment and a rating. So yeah, Thanks for watching.